Hey guys, so thank you so much for coming to our first Health Careers Super Fair. My name is Elliot. I work for Prospel. We essentially partner with employers to help them attract high quality students like yourself. And obviously we run events like this to help students engage with a wider range of employers as well. Just to kick it off as well, if you've got any questions, if you can refrain from putting it through the chat function and put it through the Q&A function, this will allow myself and the panelists to either answer it live or potentially just answer it with a text. And so I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. So with today, we're essentially just going to have a bit of a back and forth between myself and Jana from the Foundation of Hope Therapies and Paul from Plena Healthcare. And obviously any questions that you guys have throughout, obviously feel free to shoot those through, but we'll have a dedicated Q&A function at the end as well. So we'll kick it off with a bit of an introduction. So Jana, if you want to kick it off, just introduce yourself and describe what your organisation actually does. And I think you need to take yourself off mute before you do that.
Thanks, Elliot. Welcome, everybody. How exciting. I'm actually the owner and director and the senior occupational therapist at the Foundation of Hope Therapies. We kind of started out as a pipe dream. I actually started uni with this pipe dream that I'm going to change the world, and literally one family at a time. And then fast forward, when I finished my degree, I literally had only one plan. And so I started the Foundation of Hope, and I started in my car. And then we've now grown to 2 stores here on the East Coast. We're about to roll out a 3rd one on the Sunshine Coast. We primarily started out with kids with disabilities. Now we operate for people of all ages, and primarily in the NDIS field. So communities, schools, clinic, pretty much every environment that anybody attends in their daily living. And so we just have one goal, and that's change the world and make it a better place for people with disabilities. So that's what.
Thank you so much, Jana. It's such a great story, just coming straight out of uni and going, oh, I want to do this, and obviously making it happen as well and actioning it. So very massive credit to you.
Thank you.
How about yourself, Paul? Bit of an intro, into yourself and Plena Healthcare, what you're doing over there.
Yeah, thanks, Elliot, and thanks everyone for joining today. It's quite an exciting way to sort of move this into an online platform. So an introduction about myself. My name's Paul Forrest. Graduated as a physio back in 2011. Originally started off working in private practice, which is sort of a pretty common sort of pathway. However, burnt out within sort of 2.5 years. I was done as a physio then, and sort of just fell into aged care. Since then, I've absolutely loved it. I started working as sort of a physiotherapist at site level, went into the community field and was managing sort of our Victorian community team. And then opportunity came to start up WA, move back home. So moved back home, start up WA, and now work within Plena Healthcare. So a bit about Plena, where the part I manage is the physio and OT component, but we also sort of have speech, dietetics, and podiatry as well. We work within residential aged care facilities, but also with community clients. So we're like Jana working in with NDIS as well. We do sort of home care packages and DVA and private clients through there. We're a relatively large team. So nationally, we sort of have over 1,000 therapists working with us. We're in each state, apart from Northern Territory, but we'll get there one day. I'm pretty sure there's already some expansion happening there. And then from a new grad perspective, we actually took on sort of 99 candidates sort of across the cohorts last year, and sort of 72 of those are in sort of the PT, OT world. So it's quite a large part of our organisation. So we have quite a strong emphasis on that and the structures within it.
No, thank you very much, Paul. And I guess to circle back to what you mentioned, obviously taking on 99 students over that course of time. I mean, what sort of advice would you give students, I guess, aspiring to work in your sector?
Well, there's probably two parts. One is sort of the pre-starting, and then once they've actually started. So sort of pre-starting, it's sort of just making sure it is the right field for you. I mean, it's probably the hardest thing when you are a new grad and wanting to sort of move into it. You don't know and you're not sure. You're kind of relying on a couple of placements you had here and there and a bit of hearsay from friends. But my main question I ask at interviews is why aged care? Why do you want to do it? What is it about those relationships and those people? Because sort of from a clinical side of things, our inductions, our PDs, our new grad specific things we do, we can teach you that clinical part, but that actual compassion, who you are as a person, and is that field for you? That's the one thing we can't teach. So kind of coming into the role, that's probably the most important thing that the candidate needs to work out.
Resonating a lot with Simon Sinek, start with why. If you haven't heard about that already, it's a good thing to have a look at.
You better I'll make sure I'll take that one down.
Yeah.
I'll claim plagiarism then.
Yeah.
But definitely an important one. So you got to find out why. And then once you are in and you are into the team, it's making the most and maximising opportunities. Sort of within aged care community, the growth is huge and continues to be. It's a constantly changing environment as well. So we find those new candidates that come in and are engaged and make the most of it, and all of our sort of support structures in place, they do really well. It's the ones that sort of come in, sort of just clock on, clock off, and sort of don't really engage with the clients and the residents. They're the ones that sort of they stagnate in their career. So it's more about that engagement and making sure that it's they're really driving it from within themselves.
Yeah, no, brilliant. I think so. Yeah, really good advice. I mean, especially in the early days, and as you said, it is quite difficult to know exactly what you want to do, but understanding and I guess why you want to do it is obviously really important as well. I could see you nodding a lot there, Jana. Was there anything else, I guess, for people specifically wanting to work in your sector that you think would be really relevant to talk about?
I think, for the whole of allied health, like we're all multidisciplinary, we all work together. I actually have 3 children with disabilities myself. And one of the biggest things that from a carer's perspective is people can see through you. So if you think you might be faking, oh, look, I'm putting on this fake smile, they can feel you. Want to be there is the biggest thing. Pick your industry. When you're doing your placements, you've got 1,000 hours, or usually it's about 1,000 hours. Strategically pick them throughout your degree. So then by the time you're finished and you are looking for new grad opportunities, which can literally open up the world for you if you pick the right place, practice them. So then earlier on, oh, I don't really like that. Or actually, that's actually awesome. And I want to know everything about it. And bring your best self, definitely.
Yeah.
Once you find what you love every day, you don't even wake up going, I've got to go to work. You wake up going, whoa,
I'm pumped up, ready to go.
Yeah.
Really good advice. And even outside of the work and moving into a graduate program or an entry-level role, it's obviously just really good advice for life as well, just finding something that you're passionate about. And I guess just to circle back more specifically around your recruitment process, what does your organisation, I guess, look for, Jana, in an application, and what the students need to show to progress, I guess, throughout the application and progress to the next rounds?
For me, it's passion, and you see it on paper. It's like, but I'm looking for passionate, enthusiastic people. One of the biggest things that I look for in someone is best fit. And it's like, I know every single one of our families. We've got over 200 families on our books, and it's a different market. Like we've got the regional market as well, regional rural market. People, somebody from a city, our processes are very differently out here in the country per se. It's really great to see anybody that's had any form of experience, whether it be your brother had a disability, your cousin, your neighbor, doing any volunteering work, like any experience in the world of disabilities is also something I jump at. And somebody that, it's the smile on their face. Again, you can see in their energy, do you really want to be here, or is this just another stepping stone?
Yeah. Yeah. And how would you suggest, it's a good point in regards to passion. I mean, how would you suggest for the students who are on the call, and obviously if they're putting together applications and CVs, how do they show that in a Word format on paper without being able to actually show it physically? If you know. It's quite a difficult question.
I think I'm a person of many words, so I used to always put a little blog about myself at the top, and I think that's a really good reflection of you, even a cover letter, and write from your heart.
Yeah.
If I really honestly believe, and don't take it the wrong way, people don't pick you for their organisation, you will find the right one. And when you do, you'll be so thankful that you didn't go to didn't get picked for anything else.
Yeah.
It's almost like the role finds you in a funny way. And I think, disability and healthcare is like that. It's hard to put into words, but yeah, I think
it's good.
True to yourself. Be true to yourself when you're writing those things.
And I think it speaks to what Paul was saying before about finding your why, like writing it out on, like, this is something that I do, obviously being in sales, not being in the health sector, but it's very applicable to every industry, is writing out like what do you actually want to do, and really focus on the certain aspects of what you want out of a career, what you want out of your first 3 years, and really understanding about exactly what it is. And it will just make it a lot easier to say yes to companies, to say no to companies, because not every business is right for every student.
Yes,
to making sure you tailor your application process as well.
Definitely.
What about yourself, Paul? Is there anything else other than what specifically, I guess, for Plena Healthcare, what you guys look for, and what you're interested in seeing in an application?
Yeah, definitely. And so that last point you touched on about sort of tailoring it, I can definitely tell though that the type of person that's doing sort of mass applications and not sort of tailoring it, that for me is a bit of a put off kind of straight away. I kind of want the idea with the blurb I really like. It's something where the person will take me through sort of why they want to work within our team and why they want to be a part of it, why they like that industry. And it's almost sort of they're able to sort of link in things that they've done throughout their previous studies, what they've volunteered in, or even what they enjoyed about certain placements, that are going to link in really well. So they're personalising it to themselves, but also personalising it to how they would fit in within our team and be a really fun sort of team member of what we're after.
Yeah.
Everything else sort of from there it can be rather stock standard, but that for me is the most personal approach, and the best way for me to learn about you, which that's going to put you ahead of a couple other people potentially. Yeah,
and obviously I can relate to that. I mean, just a bit of a background on myself. I've been in recruitment for 5 years, so I've seen thousands of CVs. It's very easy to tell when it's not tailored, and what it does for the client, it really, when you're doing, I guess, bulk applications, obviously we understand that you want to try and get as many opportunities as you can, but you're better off researching prior, doing that research, making sure you apply to the employers that make the most sense for you, and then following up quite stringently and with quite a bit of a process to sound out if the opportunities are there, and to follow up if it's successful. Great, you move forward to the next application. If it's not, ask why. You should be getting feedback as to why the application is not successful. It might be something from the business perspective, but really importantly, you want to find out if it's something that you're doing as well, to make sure that you're constantly tailoring that approach, which is always really helpful. And we'll stay with yourself, Paul. I mean, for students who do land a job with Plena, like what sort of advice would you give them to, I guess, like survive and to thrive in their first year, and things that specifically they shouldn't do?
Yeah, and it's an important one for them to think about, and to actually, I think, as you said, sort of map out that first year within it. So that's something that we work with. The most important thing is that they should use the structure that's there. It's something that sort of we really pride ourselves on. So we sort of have the induction. They have sort of a team leader who's their direct manager. We do our monthly PDs, but also a new grad PD session on top. And we sort of have other resources as well. So there's a lot of structure there, but it's about those that engage and those who use it. And that would be probably my biggest advice, is making sure that they use that structure throughout the first 12 months. And then by the end, getting to the end of that first 12 months, start to really plan where you want to, and be really open and transparent with your team leader, and talk about, look, I really thoroughly love that sort of, when we had ortho coming through, I really want to sort of go and follow that. So then we can align our PD sort of allowance to go there for that person of future opportunities.
Yeah.
I suppose sort of on the flip side of that, sort of what shouldn't they do is don't be quiet, don't be nervous. We have that support there. We know you're not a 25 year experienced therapist coming in and who's going to be able to sort of case manage absolutely everything and deal with some really high end situations. We recognize that you're a new grad, you're young in your journey, and you're still developing. So I think back to sort of my days at that point, and the old physio fake it till you make it kind of mantra sort of was in there, and that was one that I probably needed a bit more support. But we want to make sure that they understand they can put their hand up and to utilize that structure. Don't stay quiet, because by the time you hit your third or fourth year, people do expect a certain level of competency and ability to do things. If you haven't built that foundation early on, it starts to crumble a little bit later in your career. So make the most of those first couple of years if I can.
Yeah, just ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. It's something. I'm 27 now. I still ask questions every day to my manager. So don't be afraid of doing it. It's not a sign of weakness. It's probably more so a sign of strength to be able to ask questions and put my hand up and say, look, I'm struggling. I've made a mistake. What do I do? So you constantly, especially in your early career, to consistently grow, and obviously, as Paul's mentioned, to really set those foundations in stone, so you can start to build off them as well. To yourself, Jana, was there anything, I guess, outside, might be more specific to Foundation of Hope, and I guess what works for you guys in the first year, and I guess what students shouldn't do as well, or successful graduates shouldn't do?
And I think, the other side of that, I think everything Paul said was amazing, but the other side is like, have a go. Don't be afraid to step out of the square, especially, I'm an occupational therapist. I have to step out of squares every day, but that's what makes you a standout. The fact that you'll think and, don't feel so afraid to actually speak up and speak for yourself and go, I think that's awesome, but hey, I also thought about this. What's your opinion on that? And share those ideas with people. Don't be afraid to shine yourself, and take responsibility. When you go home, and I know you're not getting paid for it, but read up, because, as employers, time, there's a lot of things to get through, and as we've got a huge client load here, we want to teach you everything, but we kind of aren't thinking that there is a million things that we need to teach you in the same. So, use that time, use your own time wisely as well. Take initiative for your own learning and your own professional development outside of what, each organization's offering you too. I think even as an employer, I'm thinking, oh my God, I expect that. And I just kind of hope that other people, like I mention it, and your manager probably won't mention things 20 times, like, we're looking at adults here. We're expecting you to take it in and think about it, and then go home and expand on that and learn it, and always ask questions. That's never anything about that, but it's about taking that initiative to, better yourself professionally as well. We are adults. We're not children, I think it's a really good point to, obviously the career, and obviously everyone on this call, you've been to university, you're very proficient at reading, you know how to study. So reading books outside of it doesn't necessarily have to be within the industry. It could be to better yourself, to be able to deal with and build relationships, to be able to deal with certain situations better. So just consistently kind of upskilling yourself, as Jana said, is really helpful as well. And know what your other therapists are doing. Like, what a physio does, know what a speech does, know who to refer to. Like, I think it's so underestimated that this is actually a multidisciplinary thing. Healthcare, we just don't work by ourselves. I'm constantly on referring to other people, not even in my team, and know who's in your local area as well. That would be the biggest thing, and meet them, learn them, have coffee, have, monthly meetups, and
get on LinkedIn.
Get LinkedIn.
Network.
Huge.
Networking's huge.
The best advice I could give somebody is know who your other providers are, because you might not be the right fit for somebody, but a really mature approach is that that you know somebody else that might be a better fit. And I think that's really important to know that that's okay as well. I
think the ability to build a network in your early 20s, it sets you up forever. Something that I definitely did in my early 20s, and it's I know people all over the country for certain things, because it's something that I've obviously focused a lot on. Was there anything else, Paul, that I see you nodding your head, obviously in agreement about that networking side of things as well?
I think my favourite point was really recognising when you aren't the right therapist and you aren't the right organisation to provide that support for a client. I think that's a really kind of important skill as a therapist, that you learn that, that there are a lot of other people out there that may be able to provide that best service. And at the end of the day, that's why we're in the industry. That's why we do it. It's really to give best care. Don't just hold on to someone for the sake of it. So that's just, I really like that point.
Yeah, really good. We've got about 10 minutes until we've got one more question to go for the panelists. We've got about 10 minutes and then we'll have a dedicated Q&A. If you have any questions at all, just start to filter them through that Q&A function, whether it be for myself or for Jana or just to the panelists in general. But I guess in a final word before we go into the formal Q&A, in, I guess, one sentence, Paul, why should students apply to Plena Healthcare? To put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's probably something I always stress at the interview. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't be here. I'm a big work-life person. So for me, if I didn't love this company and think our values are aligned, I would not be in this meeting. I wouldn't be representing them within that. That's sort of from a work thing. From a new grad perspective, we're a really well-structured company. We sort of have our induction programs, have our standardized normal PDs. We've got new grad PDs with the new grad supervisors. And then from a clinical perspective, from sort of whatever allied health component you're from, we work with cardio, neuro, musc, ortho clients, and while still being within that team environment. Plus, social events are great within organisations, so that's always a big part as well. So yeah, all in all, I really enjoy it, and I can't think of another career that I'd be more excited about personally.
Yeah, great. No, it definitely sounds like you're passionate about working there, which is obviously one of the most important things. What about yourself, Jana? Was there anything, I guess, in a sentence that why people should come and work for you and obviously for the wider organisation?
People should want to come and work for me if they want to change the world, which sounds really cliche, but we're definitely not boxes here at the foundation. We're kind of, I don't know, every other shape. I think I like that we don't have very strict barriers, that, you know, you've got room to think for yourself and to kind of change the rules and break the rules a little bit to make somebody's life better. And I want somebody that can bring that to the team, somebody who's super passionate and, you know, like passionate, literally, I'm going to change the world for this family, and really believe that, because this is what we do here every day.
Yeah.
It's definitely not your clinical big companies. And I think that's the way I wanted it, but we're dealing with a different market. Like we're in very much the regional rural market. So it's like the best fit. But yeah.
Yeah, great. We've got a question come through for yourself, Jana, from Georgia. She's just asked, like, what does a typical day look like for yourself and for other OTs working at Hope, I guess in general?
I get asked this a lot because I'm kind of like really, really busy. A typical day is I might come in, I'm trying to integrate a lot of my clients to get through our huge client load to have clinical visits, but we'll do some clinical sessions here at HQ. We've just opened an arts hub, so then we'll be swapping between HQ, doing arts hub with groups out to different schools in the community. I might even have some TD meetings. I work a lot with DOCS, which is Family and Community Services, other organisations which offer some different services. They also might offer the same therapy services that we do, but we still all work together, because you might have your OT from this organisation, your physio from here, and your speech from here, but, you know, we're professional, we all work together.
Yeah.
Come home, usually a lot of report writing for me. I'm a little bit of a report guru, so you probably will find me sitting at my computer at 1 a.m. still writing a report before I get up at 5 a.m. and do it all tomorrow. But I'm very passionate about what I do, and I do take on a lot, but my families need me to, so I just be what they need me to be. So every day is different. It's kind of hard, but
really good. Yeah. And it's good to have obviously different day, and it's not monotonous. Yeah. And this is probably a question for both of you. I mean, what would be I guess the noticeable differences between working in a metro area versus working in a rural area?
I'm happy to jump in. So if I go back to my experience when I was managing sort of the community team, it's the ability to think and to make most. It's not just, I think sort of within a metro area, you've got everything at your fingertips and it's right there. You've got all your resources, you have all the supports. Whereas Within sort of our rural areas, it's more about leaning on that community network, knowing, as Jana was saying before, who is within your zone, who you can refer to, what is the best case scenario. It may not be 100% absolutely perfect. However, you may be able to combine a few things and it may get to that point, rather than just sort of dropping and going, well, it doesn't fit right with that mold of what it should be. It's about engaging your mind as a therapist to try and find that best case fit.
Yeah, brilliant. We've got one that's come through for yourself, Paul. You mentioned before being burnt out, obviously, after a couple of years in private practice. I mean, why potentially, if you want to go into it, like why that happened, and I guess how some other people can avoid potentially doing that as well.
Yeah, I'm always open about it. It's essentially when you're starting off, you're looking for your new clients. So you're getting new clients before and after when they're working. You're doing your weekend work. If you're taking on sports things, you kind of have to sacrifice what you can do from a sports perspective as well. And then the other part of it was, you really, from a financial perspective, you're chasing a commission train. Like, you have a massive fortnight and you go, that was great, but then it kind of starts again, and you start getting pressure potentially from, I know my first role didn't have it, but my second one in Melbourne did, about return clients, getting people back, doing your billables. And I didn't like that. And it was really, really eating at me. And yeah, I was down for a good 3, 4, 5 months. And then eventually I just had to snap and fell into my career, and I love it now. It's good.
Yeah, it's really good, I guess, having that realization, that self-awareness to go, not really a fan of this, and obviously making the changes to do something about it as well. And a question that we had that came through from Heidi, if Plena Healthcare does Pilates. Yeah,
so we've actually got one of our PD next month is going to be is Pilates and an aged care. So it's something that we are looking at. Well, we do not necessarily on a reformer, depends on which provider we're working with. Some sort of providers do have a reformer potentially there, but depends on what's in their gym setup. But definitely with the changes moving forward, there's going to be increased scope for practice such as that.
Great.
I'm a big fan of it, because I used to teach it back in the day. So
yeah, it's helped me in my early 20s when my back was not very friendly to me. It's definitely helpful. So we've probably got about 45 seconds. If there's any more questions that anyone has, feel free to shoot them through the chat function. But if not, look, hopefully you guys have got something out of today. I definitely have. I've learned a couple of things about the health space, which is always really good. And look, to yourself, Jana and Paul, really appreciate your time and coming on, just giving some insights, obviously, to the students that have come on board to listen to yourself. I don't know if you had any final words before we sign off, and I'll redirect the students back to the virtual fair as well.
I'd just like to say thanks, Elliot. Really enjoyed it. Thanks, Jana.
Thank you. I want to say congratulations to all of you. Like, what a brilliant future for you all. Healthcare is the future of Australia. Stay passionate. Don't burn out, because we need you. Our families need you. And just enjoy every minute of it. The future is so bright. So bright. Good luck to you all.
Very promising. To all the students who are on board, if you just want to redirect back to however you came into this focus session, go do a bit of research on the agendas. I think we've got about 50 exhibitors here today, which is really exciting. So do a bit of research on the agendas, see what people are doing. There might be some presentations or some open Q&As that you can go and attend. And obviously, as we've discussed, ask as many questions as you need to get as much out of today as that you can.